Everyone, just finished up a 17-hour stream here of Diablo 4 Season 3. Just going to give some of my thoughts so far on the season. And I gotta say, it's definitely a step back from Season 2. It's probably not as fun, or kind of feels less player powery and kind of a little bit more janky, but it's definitely a step forward from Season 1, which kind of I guess makes a little bit of sense because the same team that developed this season is the same team that developed Season 1. And so the Even team is doing something else this season. And you can kind of tell that there's some lessons learned from Season 2 that didn't really make it into this one. And there's just a couple of different things that are a little bit annoying. So the main thing about the season is you have this little, for the borrowed power is the Shenish pal that is with you all the time. This little guy right here, right? And you can give him 2 abilities. You can make him do cool stuff. But the big problem with this guy is he's always off screen to me. When I'm in combat, you're running through the vaults, I don't even see him. I don't know where he is. I don't know what's going on. And he's supposed to be grabbing onto enemies for me and grouping them up. And yeah, it's not really working out all that well. By the way, I'm playing a kind of a weird build. We found these Pain Gorger gauntlets, which basically make it so that when a non-basic skill hits an enemy, you kind of when you hit any marked enemy with a basic skill, it sends out your basic skill to all of them and does even more damage. So we got a bad roll here, but this is actually seemingly pretty good so far. And we're using the new adaptability. That's the one. This gives us 56% more basic skill damage. We're considering doing 2-hander with this, with the Esu's keystone thing to get even more attack speed. We'll see what happens with this. It's been pretty good so far. I'll put a link for what my work in progress is in the description down below. As for the rest of the season stuff, one of the things that I knew was going to be really painful is that we lost Unstoppable on Evade from last season. Metamorphosis was massive, and yeah, not having that feels really, really bad, especially because there's several mechanics in the season, especially in the open world, that knock you back and push you around, and it feels really bad to get pushed without an easy form of Unstoppable. Also, they decided for some reason to take the permanent zoom on the mount off of the seasonal blessings. So there's no season blessing here to reduce the cooldown of your zoom on your mount. And so now you kind of aren't able to permanently go fast on your mount, which also feels pretty bad. Maybe let's just make it a baseline change as opposed to a cinder thing. Or maybe just make it so the mounts zoom all the time. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that for them. Also, I feel like I'm getting so many vault nightmares compared to normal nightmares. And the vault ones are these green ones. And it's almost 6-to-1 of my nightmare dungeons are vaults. That's a lot. There's a lot of good nightmare dungeons in the rotation right now. I wouldn't mind running, but I feel like I'm just basically just running vaults, which isn't bad. The loot is definitely good, but I'm not sure how good it is on XP. Vaults are kind of long. Sometimes the XP can be kind of bad, although playing a Sork is kind of cheesing because I can literally just blitz right through it. I'm teleporting over traps, flame shielding my way through traps. It doesn't count as getting hit if you have flame shield up, so that's pretty nice. And there's even some spots where you can teleport over a wall and skip a huge section of running, so that's probably hurting my XP a little bit. And overall, I kind of just feel the XP grind itself though is kind of a lot. We're 17 hours in, we're level 77. Even in PoE, you'd be higher level than this. Playing Torchlight recently, be a lot higher level. And it just kind of feels like it's this long, slow grind all the way. And there's a couple, there's at least 2 major pain points. When you're first starting World Tier 3 and you're first starting World Tier 4, where the shift from having normal gear to not being able to use sacred gear feels really bad, and it almost always makes me want to rage quit the game because I push in too early to the next difficulty and can't use any of the gear that I'm dropping. It's just so annoying, and so I hope that they kind of smooth that out a little bit. The season quest was also a complete mess. It was kind of cool. I kind of the lore a little bit, but it'd be like, okay, go to this next area, and I couldn't find where I was supposed to go. It was also bugged at one point, which also kind of sucks, but you know, that's, you know, yes, to be expected. I think it already fixed that too. Also activating a normal nightmare dungeon in the new town, and this is something I won't complain about because the new town is amazing. And I hope this is something that they continue to do. We have like all of the vendors right here, pretty easy to get to, and even the little thing here, and like everything is pretty fast and easy to get to. However, if you activate a normal nightmare dungeon like this, and I press M to open the map, it doesn't go to the right place, and I have to click down here, and then it can click to there. And this is kind of like one extra step, and just kind of feels bad. There's also no, like, I can't press 1 and 2 to flip between Sanctuary Estuary and the Gate Hall. And if I'm like out in the overworld and I want to go to the town here, I have to like go and find it. And when the main quest for the season is active, it's kind of like blocking your ability to click on this. It just felt pretty clunky in general. Also, one thing I kind of like miss from season 2 is in season 2, wherever the vampire tide was, there was always whispers all of the time. And there are whispers for the new zones, and there's like a whole bunch of new areas. Basically anywhere where there is a vault, there are going to be a whole bunch of like little extra monsters here. But some of these whispers don't have anything to do with them. But sometimes there are whispers like, I've probably done them all recently. Over here, the Cull Constructs and Heralds and stuff, where these are related to doing the new stuff in that season there. And like, I wish that these little zones would get like electrified or something and kind of show you that like, hey, the new seasonal whispers are active right now in this zone. I understand they probably don't want to like mark the map up like it's Helltide all the time, but it was really neat to kind of like follow it around hour to hour, as opposed to now I kind of feel like I have to like look at the map and like pay too much attention. And like, it also doesn't feel like these are resetting all that quickly, and it just kind of stinks. And yeah, that's like kind of my thoughts so far. Some of my complaints. Now, some of the positive things, I think there's a lot of interesting powers here with Essential Construct. It'll be interesting to kind of mess around with these. Stuff like Flash of Adrenaline, I think, is going to be pretty popular. And some of the Uber tuning stones, I think, could be pretty good. So like Genesis here is going to increase the effectiveness of the supported skill, which will probably be Flash of Adrenaline by 150%, which is basically, I think, 2.5 times. So I think you're going to be getting a massive amount of damage from Flash of Adrenaline. But Flash of Adrenaline also, I don't really know when it's active on my character. There's not really like a sound. There's not a visual that I can really easily see. It's kind of like, I don't know when it's going off. And I've turned off damage numbers because it's kind of hard to see the game otherwise. And the damage numbers aren't all that great. Evernight also seems pretty neat, but 2 seconds is pretty short period of time for an Uber Duber. I would expect this to be a little bit longer than that. But so things I'm expecting to see them like hotfix is making the Seneschal follow you around a lot more. Because right now, like I said, it's kind of like playing Where's Waldo? Where the heck is my Seneschal? I don't know where he is half the time. And just like maybe like making him a little smarter. I wish there was a button to like draw him to you, because there's plenty of times where he shoots off his focus fire and just yoinks enemies away from me. It's really annoying. But there's other times he's standing directly on top of me. He's just yoinking everything in the room to me in like the last room of the vault. And that's pretty cool. I also don't like that vaults tend to just be the same every single time. It's always going to be like a survival room at the end, which for some reason doesn't give you XP for killing enemies in them, which feels really bad. And like almost the survival rooms don't do that. So I don't like that either. What else is good? I do like the fact that the new uniques are in. It's something that's pretty cool. I don't like that Tal Rasha's doesn't stack with the pet stuff, but I think that would probably been OP. But that's overall my thoughts. I think that right now it's this season's definitely not as good as the last one. It'll be really interesting to see how the leaderboard stuff kind of comes out. But it's definitely not as bad as season 1. There's definitely a lot more polish and cool new content. And like even like this little town here is something that like I kind of hope that they keep, because if we could have like a new town that is more compact than anywhere else we have right now, this is pretty good. And I was actually also really surprised with how good the outfit looks from the battle pass. I'm not doing the hat because I don't really like it all that much, but for the most part the armor here is pretty cool. This is just the first tier stuff, and the hat kind of looks silly and ruins it for me. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll be streaming some more Diablo 4 here in the days to come. Have a good one.